Okay, I will call this regular meeting of the Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:04 p.m. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to start texting other people to make sure they get here to do the things we need to do. But we will start with public input. Don't have any of that. And correspondence. Nothing showed up in the past couple of hours. So I think we're good with that. Approval of meeting minutes. So I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 23rd, 2023.
I'll second that.
John Menti seconds. Does anybody have any questions, corrections, additions, etc.? No? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Done.
Abstain.
Bob abstains, and that nobody else is here that has to abstain, so we're good.
The date, right?
The 23rd, I'm doing that one first.
Okay.
It's the regular meeting. And now I'm doing a special meeting. So I will make a motion that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of August 30th, 2023.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. Anything with that you need to add, change, etc.? I think we're all good with that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we're done. Or Bob needs to abstain for that too. He wasn't at this.
You weren't at that one.
No. Okay, so first thing I would like to do before we get into old business is to add an item to our agenda. So I would like to add back, because we had taken it off a couple of months ago, the Bethel High School HVAC upgrades. So I make a motion that we add that back on our agenda.
Second.
Everybody, Dave Olson, Roy seconds. Any need for discussion, because we will discuss it later? I don't think so. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done with that. So, getting into the municipal center renovation, I don't know why Mark's not here, but we'll see if I can find out. So I'll give an update on what I know, and I don't know as Mark knows much more than I do. However, I did give an update, and Mark added that the GP room, the entry doors into the lobby were taken out. The concrete under the whole threshold area was taken out, re-poured, set, put the doors back in. They've been fine. So they're not causing any problems. I asked Rachel and Carson and both in Park and Rec, have you heard anything? No, they seem to be absolutely fine. So that's a good thing. And the only thing I don't know is how long BMP might wait before we get a final bill from them, because that would also then trigger a final bill from Colliers. And then because we got the hygienics, we approved that. The reports were sent in to Health Department. I think we should be good with all of that. So we just would like to get those last few invoices and get that completed. So then we can go back to the Board of Selectmen and say, we're done. Here's how much is left. And then they have to sort of decide what they're going to do with what's left. I don't know if anybody's been around the building. If you haven't been from the GP room lobby, coming back up through where Public Works and everything is, the floors there were redone. We talked a little, it's not anything that we did. Public Works handled all of that, which means Kathy handled all that. But it looks great.
Beautiful.
So last I saw, they had been installed, now they've been polished, and they look even better. So take a look at that, because it's the same color that carries all the way through that back north wing hallway. The only parts that we did not do, and we had discussed this in one of our meetings, going back towards the gym on both sides, on the front side and on the back side. We're going to be doing construction in there. We don't want to be running over a new floor with all kinds of structural stuff. I don't think there's anything else I have. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Like the black railing, the black accent.
Yeah, we've been
I like that.
changing everything over to black
And
and that green.
the handrails, the black accent.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, they came up with, I mean, on the side of the ramp.
And then the rails.
I had
They-
them paint the doors, and I'm painting all the doors that are green,
Right.
black,
Oh,
and then
okay.
painting the railings black as well.
So there's no more green doors, so we can't say the green door.
Well, there's still gonna be green doors, but just not, because when you go into the stairwells, it's still,
No, it looks
Green
nice
and
and
white.
sharp and clean. and
yeah.
Very
Well,
professional.
it's getting old. I mean, since it's updated, it needs.
That was a good thing to do. Those older tiles were continuing to crack, break. You really couldn't do, and I think they still might have had some extras around, but why replace them if they were just going to crack again? So hopefully they'll last for quite a long time. Anything else anybody has, questions, et cetera? We don't have any invoices, so we don't need to do that. So we can move on to the locker room. I don't have anything to do with that. I think the STEEP grant went in, I talked about that. And I asked Janice if she has any concept of like time frame of when they're going to, she thinks by the end of the year we should be hearing something as far as whether we got something or not. So we need to continue to move forward with getting plans in place. Peter Eckert has said we need to have a meeting. I think it would be prudent for us to have a meeting, not all of us if we don't need to, but a couple of us meet with Rachel and anybody else that she wants to have part of taking a look at that, so we have some sort of concept of what direction do we want to go in when we go meet with Peter. And I haven't done that yet. And I don't know if anybody wants to be a part of that.
Well, it's really good.
Okay. Because I'm also thinking about, and we can talk about this kind of when we get through everything, that we're going to continue to have some items on our agenda that won't have anything that need updating for a while. Yet they still need to stay on the agenda because we're still kind of working on them. We're waiting for things to be delivered or et cetera. And I might need some help to have not just me, but someone else being kind of like a point person on a project, just to keep track of everything going on. I did say last meeting that I won't be here for the next meeting. John's going to be running the meeting. So we want to help John keep everything in order and make sure he knows what direction things are going in. So we need to all include John in any emails that go out and around. So I've been trying to do that. But also, it's an idea, just sort of let it roll around in your head and we can discuss it. If each project had one of us be kind of like a point person, then the information flows through me and through that person. And they're keeping track, and I don't have to be on every meeting or if there's a coordination meeting, et cetera, that person can be doing it. So there's enough of us to maybe spread things around a little bit. So Mark's here. I don't know if Mark has anything for us. I mean, I kind of gave an update. So the doors have been working fine. I told everyone that Rachel, both Rachel, Park and Rec Department have all said there's been no problems. Kathy has reported that there are no problems being brought to Public Works or building maintenance. So I think that fix that they did in that threshold area was what needed, what is what was needed. Don't know why that kind of escaped them before they installed those doors. However, here we are and it's been done.
Correct. And let me start off by apologizing for being a little bit late for the meeting. Lost track but realized that I was late and jumped on. I did speak with Jay this afternoon on it. Yeah, everything's, there have been no issues to report, and we did talk about the retainage release for him. He said there was a contract, and he didn't know what the contract had for the stipulated duration before they could ask for a retainage. So I will be tracking that down. They will be submitting a retainage pay app for it, and in the meantime, I'll track down what the contract stipulates as far as how long they have to wait for the retainage release.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I'm not really remembering if it said a month or 6 months or something. I know the percentage was smaller than what you might usually do in a project, and BMP going through that the whole Gordian thing said that they generally don't do a retainage in that kind of situation, but they agreed. So yeah, we should check on that contract to see what kind of time frame are we looking at. And I'm glad we did wait a little bit once we started having trouble with the doors.
I mean, typically in the AIA, you release retainage after substantial completion unless there's a punch list, and then you hold monies for, the punch list, the estimated value for the punch list times, 1.5 or 2 or, whatever is, in the contract. And typically it's between 1.5 and 2 that they settle on for to hold in retainage after substantial completion. So if we follow the AIA, which I'm not sure if the town attorney did, we can go from there.
Yeah, okay. All right, is there anything else that you have for us? We don't have any invoices, so we have to
Nope.
wait for that plus the final Colliers invoice.
Nope, I have no invoices, and that is all I have.
Okay, anybody have anything for Mark?
No.
Thanks for jumping
Thank
on.
you.
I think we're
Thank
good to
you.
go.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, so back to the locker rooms. As I was mentioning, we do need to start with looking at what Park and Rec has in mind for the way they want to handle that whole area. Now, and a reminder too that the steep grant is $500,000. So basically, and this was something that Scott and Mark from Colliers helped put together, is that they took the plan and drew a line around just the toilet area, toilet shower area. So the rest is storage and the lobby and et cetera, which still could be part of a project, but the steep grant just covers those toilet areas. So we need to take that into consideration, but we also need to look at a larger part. Do we do it in phases, et cetera? So we've got to find out what Park and Rec's needs are. Have they changed? Obviously, since we did the lobby, it's changed in that we don't need as many toilets. So we might not need to, as I said, hopefully we don't have to jackhammer up the floor. So we'll have to get that organized, at least a couple of meetings, and then go from there. So we find out if the revised plans, or we have some starting money to use. It's going to cost more than that. We may need to go back to the Board of Selectmen / Board of Finance for whatever additional funds might be needed. So we'll get going on that. And that is all I have for that, unless anybody has any.
Do they have any ADA requirements or additional needs in that restroom area?
So some of that was put in the original plans.
Mhm.
So ADA, you do have to have, part of the reason why we're having to put hallways in, because there's an entry door on one side into the locker room, an entry door on the other side into the locker rooms. those have to be widened and a hallway made down into, towards the locker rooms. And you have to have room to go through the doorway, and also, I don't know if there's, I can't remember if there's any jogs, but you have to have room to then get into the next door and go into the locker rooms.
Right. And smooth transitions.
Yes, yeah, all that. So I don't think, so jackhammering up the floor was more to move plumbing that's in the floor, because that's a slab.
Mhm.
But if we don't have to have more toilets, if there's, like 4 toilets and how many showers and how many sinks, and that's all there already, pulling up the tile and having to redo the finish of the floors, but not jackhammering and pouring new concrete. So yeah, all that will have to be taken into consideration.
What about environmental?
So environmental, we did testing like in 2017,
Yeah. so
and then we
18
also did
definitely.
abatement then also.
That's been all done. That's
Yeah.
been documented.
Yep. Now that, we have to check to make sure, did they punch holes in the wall to look and see? So far with the lobby, we didn't find any asbestos wrapping on pipes, et cetera. That's a good
I
thing.
bring it up only because of my own horror stories.
Well,
So,
sure,
you know,
Yeah.
sure, and this is an older building.
Yeah.
Than any of the schools. So, well, no, it's older than Berry School too, at least this part.
Yeah.
So we do have to take that into consideration, and we may want to have another environmental assessment. Environmental assessments were done at the old police station. Wasn't our job, but there was things found there that weren't in the environmental reports. So we do want to try to cover all possibilities, not just what's in the mastic, et cetera, what's behind the walls. One of the things we did in the lobby was punch some holes in the bathroom wall of the bathroom that wasn't being used, the one that was locked out.
They did punch holes in the ceiling in the locker.
But what about in the walls for piping and stuff like that? It's
I'm
not,
not- If I could be wrong, but I thought
Well-
when Jim Twitchell
did it?
did it, that was part of his recommendation.
Yeah.
What about tile blue?
What's that?
Tile blue?
Yeah, that was
He
tested.
checked.
It was black and it came out clean.
Wow.
Yeah.
For that age?
Non-PCB
Yeah.
and non-asbestos.
Wow, for that age.
And that surprised everybody.
Right. 'cause
And it
we
actually
thought it was
surprised
gonna
him,
be-
too.
Right, right. We thought it would be, but it would be probably prudent to maybe have another look-see at some point. Even if we did have like hygienics to it, because they did the one before, let's look around and say, yeah, we checked that, yeah, we checked that. Oh, we never punched holes in the wall and looked at the plumbing or any of those. So we might want to.
Is that all part of
Doing
the
that.
same date of construction?
In that area, yes. Next to it, which is towards the GP room, is a different, an older time frame. So the GP room and where those doors are there, that GP room this way is older than gym that way.
Mm.
And then I don't know when, like where your office is, I don't know if that was an addition to,
I think it was.
above that area, yeah.
Long overdue.
I'm making notes to myself.
Especially during the sheltering, when we use the building for sheltering.
Yep. All right, anything else on that?
Moving on.
Yeah, and I can continue to check in periodically with Janice about the steep grant to see if it's, she's heard anything. Okay, so, I don't know what's going on with Evan. I've texted him and emailed him, and I may call him. And being a regular meeting, we could jump to the HVAC, Bethel High School HVAC.
So we're waiting for
upgrades.
Evan for PD then, right?
And schools. Yes. So we may briefly adjourn or I don't know what you call it, or temporarily adjourn and then jump back in. But we can go on to the Bethel High School HVAC upgrades. So I received an email on Friday from Dr. Carver, got one from Evan shortly after, both saying the same thing. Look, DAS put it out there that the applications for grants are reopened for, and it had a larger amount of money than I remember. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else saw
Yeah, it's like
any of it.
65 million.
No, it's even more than that.
Almost 65, I thought this was like 160 or something.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was, I
okay.
can, let me get to it, and then I can,
It was a pretty big amount.
They upped the reimbursement, wow.
yeah.
They did.
So, and it was interesting, as Dr. Carver said, it's on the hottest day, and we had to do some, they've had to dismiss schools early in some schools,
Mhm.
not all schools, right,
Just high
Bob?
school, just high school.
Right, just the high school mostly. So indoor air quality grant program for public schools is now open again. And they have a link where you can go to start doing the application. The deadline is December 31st, 2023. And then it's overseen by Office of School Construction and within DAS. Here's the money. Okay, so it's funded with state bonding, federal coronavirus, state fiscal recovery funds. 244 million is available in this funding opportunity. This includes 169 million in state bond funds and 75 million in federal CSFRF funds. So it's a larger amount than last time.
Exactly.
That's great.
Good spend.
So there's a couple of things that we need to look at. And according to this, and you'd find the same thing if you went, they had all the different links, I can forward it to people, different links of here's the application, click on that, et cetera, here's the rules, et cetera. And it did talk about that this is available to boards of education, regional boards of education, and regional education service centers. So those are the people that have to apply. So as before, the Board of Ed would do the application. And any input from us, building committee, would go to the Board of Ed and to Kohler Ronan, obviously, because they're the ones that were hired by the Board of Ed, by the town, by the Board of Ed, to do the report. And it's, again, stating that it's about indoor air quality. So we're looking at air conditioning at the high schools, only the high school, air conditioning and ventilation, just that. Not heat, right?
Mhm.
Not heat. So the application that was sent in earlier for the first route, there was a meeting between Dr. Carver and Office of School Construction, a couple other, I think Jen might have been part of it, Jen Variel might have been part of the meeting. And they pointed out some of the simple kinds of things, like you were saying earlier, we didn't put a comma here. So putting that back together is not going to take a lot of work. We have to be aware of a couple of things, as the Board of Ed is. We're still confined to that amount that was approved at referendum. You can't change it, you can't up it. You can't say, oh, let's do some more this time. Because that amount that was approved at referendum is tied to a grant, to this grant being approved. If this grant is never approved, then that goes away, and there's another approach to how to figure out continuing through the upgrades to Bethel High School. And it's a report from Kohler Ronan, it's been done in phases. It's kind of a phase 2, because you're still working on getting equipment for your phase 1
Right.
part.
There are some shipping dates that have already been published for the equipment coming in for AX1
Mhm.
and ERU2.
Yeah.
And then you have phase 3,
Right.
which was the, now I just want to point out that the rooms that we're talking about at the Bethel High School are the rooms that never had AC at all.
Period, never.
Never. And so it has nothing at this point. And that was the main reason for Dr. Carver doing the half-day cancellations over this past week because of that. Those rooms are in the range of 88 degrees at one point.
Is that in the old section of the high school? Like
That's
the original?
in what we call the 1975 edition.
Oh, okay.
And it spills around the front of the building. And then on the back side where the old cafeteria used to be on the second floor, that area there still has no AC.
What's in that area now? Just mind for that.
Well, you have classrooms now
Okay.
in there. But they're basically no ventilation.
At all, period.
At all.
Like, it can't open, because it's in the center where there's no windows to open, no,
Well, that's, that, and the 75 edition, where you have the center classrooms where there's no windows, that's served by AX1. That's that rooftop penthouse unit, okay, which is slated for basically removing and replacing. And then you have the other areas of the math wing in the front of the building that never had it. And we had to modify a couple of them with the Mitsubishi type units because those are special ed areas. So that's why this new project here coming up will take care of the entire balance. It's about 30 classrooms all total, 30, 35, to include a couple common areas. Good
so,
project.
in
And that
looking
was
at,
left out of the 2010 renovation.
yeah, they just didn't even,
Right.
and I don't even know during the 2010 renovation, if it was there and then they took it out, or if it was just never considered.
To my knowledge, it was never even put in.
Yeah.
Yeah. They revamped some of the units,
Right.
but they never addressed the rooms that never had it.
So what we're going to have to do is, there has been some talk, as we had this on our agenda before, about the commission looking at plans, reviewing the plans. Do we need to tweak them? Do they need to be changed, et cetera? And we would, if that's the case, we would need to get that going as soon as possible, even though we have till the end of the year, December 31st, to get the application in. We'd like to keep things moving along so that the application can be put together and
Filed.
and filed as soon as possible. So there was some talk at prior meetings about the plans. What do we need to do about them? They're on, this will be my suggestion. Plans are on the shared drive. You can get in there, you can look at them. So our next meeting's on the 27th, I think. Yes?
3,
Yeah, 27th. John will be running that meeting. I will be away. So between now, 2 weeks, and the 27th, if you could review the plans, and I'll put something out to everybody so everybody knows to go and go ahead and do that. If there's anything that you think needs to be changed, I'm not talking about major changes because that's going to be very costly. The town has already paid Kohler Ronan to do not just the report, but some plans. So tweaking, again, I would say would be a good way to put it. We're not redoing the plans completely. And bring that to the meeting on the 27th. I would prefer it to be, I'm going to say, not just prefer, I'm going to say it has to be in writing. It has to be what you see as an issue or a deficit or something that needs to be tweaked and why. Where, you know, if you see something in one area of the building that should be different, et cetera. So that we can be very precise about it. I don't want to be, oh, in general, we need to run new ductwork everywhere. Anyone who wants to, and I'll put this out there too, look at everything. We brought this up in the summertime several times. People said they wanted to go out and meet with Bob to go crawl around the building and see, because some of what's being, a lot of what's being proposed in the plans is basically based on the space that's there. The non-space that's there really is the way to put it.
And the structure of the building, the
Right.
current structure of the building.
Right. We're not going to be renovating the whole entire building as new or any of that. It's just putting in there what we can with the both structure and the infrastructure of the building too.
So on that, Nancy, I
Yeah.
know John, unfortunately, he's not here
Right.
to discuss it.
Mhm.
I don't know enough about it, but as far as the systems, but I know that John was not, he wanted to see units that would be better for longevity.
Mhm.
And I think that was his biggest concern, was that the units, that Kohler Ronin had spec or they were looking towards design-wise,
Mhm.
he didn't feel those were 10-year units.
Right.
And that was it. And, you know, there's design constraints and size and, you know, the areas that they gotta be, but I think that was his biggest concern.
Yeah.
And I think that we do have to listen to that because that's something that will cost us in the long run.
Sure.
So if it, 10 years goes by pretty quick. And, it is something that I think that John has some very legitimate, and, he knows because he's seen them in other schools.
Mhm.
So it's not like he's just shooting from the hip here. So that's why I do believe it's worthwhile. And I think John is really the one that's the expert on it, and yourself, that maybe know exactly. I personally don't know enough about the system.
Well, as I started getting more involved with Kohler Ronin and their design staff, it was made clear pretty quickly that, and you just hit it on the head, about design constraints. The Bethel High School built like 3 separate buildings. You have the original, then you have the addition, then you have the 75 edition. And each one of these sections of buildings has their own constraints. Right now, they already have all the equipment in them. They have the ducts, they have the wiring, they have everything. One of the positives of the systems that Kohler Ronin is designing is the flexibility. This type of system, sure, it may have some shortcomings in other buildings, but in this particular application, this fits these 3 types of buildings I was just pointing out, with the types of beams, the type of firewalls. And one of the main things that they had to go to this type of system is we have no chiller plant. So there's no, like the middle school has its own chiller plant where it develops its own chilled water and then sends it through the building. We wouldn't be able to do that in this building because of the piping constraints and the power up. We wouldn't have the right power to operate something of this nature. And it would add a lot more cost if you had to start cutting in chaseways or soffits or making like these little bump outs they have here for piping and ductwork. So they had to look towards something a little more flexible to fit in that application. And I found that pretty interesting that they had to take all that in consideration in order to design something. The VRF unit.
VRF standard.
Yeah, VRFs. Those are interesting units. They've come a long way from the original design. They're more, like I said, flexibility. There's better flexibility and reliability. And that was part of John's question mark about the reliability.
Yeah.
They've come up with better piping that is protected. They can run the piping in smaller sections. They could find better pathways through the building opposed to having a chiller plant with the large 6-inch pipes. You're talking now a couple 1-inch or 1.5-inch pipes through the building. So it's what they're designing has its pros and cons, but right now the pendulum is swinging to more pros that will stay within our budget line and timeline. And you don't want to destroy the building trying to get something. Now you've just spent more to get, so.
And I think if we're looking at a grant and they're showing, we're showing running pipes everywhere, and they're probably not gonna, they actually don't look at the plans, but there's a description. So we want to have it be, we're being upgrading as best as we can, but also being realistically frugal about, not frugal in the point of ending up with stuff that isn't going to last or isn't going to work. But I think what Kohler Ronin has, as Bob said, and we had that report from Craig when he was on
Craig
a
Rodham.
couple months ago,
Yep.
that they've had to give a lot of thought to what's going to fit, what's going to work, and they've done that. So my suggestion would be that I'll send it, like I said, I'll send out an email tonight or tomorrow morning to everybody. Please look at the plans on the shared drive, go through them. Get with Bob if you want to, go up there and look at it with him. He'll take you around, probably after school some afternoon, cetera. Bring to the next meeting what you think are issues, deficits, whatever, what needs to be tweaked in writing. And be specific, why, all that. And then by the following meeting after that, October 11th, let's have a plan in place so we can continue to move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes.
on that, I'm hoping that you can reach out to John and see if he can
Sure.
talk into it, okay?
Yeah, if
'Cause
that's what you want.
he was really offended by where this was, and he doesn't feel that we should be endorsing a plan that we don't, we weren't part of,
Right.
and
Right.
we don't
Well,
like.
see, That's
So-
why
so-
Nancy was saying, if you put it in
So I
writing, we
wanna
can at
get
least get
him
the
on board.
answers from
you know,
Kohler, why they did this, what was their rationale.
That's what I think,
You know,
I
I think that'll help John in his understanding of
That's
why we went
that's what
that.
I'd like to see happen.
And the plans are
So
out
that-
there, and they've been on the shared drive for a while.
Yeah.
And so in us,
You know,
as a commission, saying, let's move forward, we want to have everybody have looked at
that's
the
what,
plans.
I'd like everyone to be on
Yes.
board, and I'd really like to have John Fielden, maybe it's not gonna endorse it, but at least he's gonna say, that's a reasonable
Yeah.
approach for where we are.
And speaking as a mechanic myself, I don't like someone just telling me, put this in.
That-
Well, why am I putting that in?
That's why,
And what's the rationale? Why is that one better than this one?
yeah,
So
exactly.
if you put it in writing and you explain what you saw, maybe they didn't see something,
That's
then
what
we can get that,
because
the
there's a lot
Kohler,
of good
and Kohler
comments
can
that,
give
exactly.
their, this is my rationale, this
Yep.
is the why I went.
And
Because that's
maybe
what I
there's-
found out
maybe
about it.
there's things there that they might say, that's a good idea,
Yeah,
but maybe we should
yeah, that's what I found
recheck
out
that.
when I did a little research. Why aren't you going with a treatment
Yeah.
plant like the middle school? And then I found, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
We don't
oh,
have
that
one,
makes sense,
got to
okay,
install a whole
Yeah.
huge one, and
So,
that's
no,
gonna
that's the
be,
only thing I would appreciate,
Yes.
is if you could
I could do that.
reach out to John, and see if we can
but I will
try
put,
to.
I will
work
put
with
an
him,
email
because he has a
out.
lot of good reasons
Of course, yep.
where his concerns were.
And as Bob said, he spent a lot of time going through this with Kohler Ronan and having been involved intimately with
Yeah.
the schools over the past however many years.
Oh, yeah, 28.
He
Counting.
understands the restrictions and et cetera that have been put in place.
No question about it.
So,
I just want to get us all on board.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and
So, like-
myself, I'm not familiar enough
Yeah.
with these systems, so.
And the system's a little more maintenance friendly too. Because I
That's
have to
good
look
to
at
know.
that,
That,
because I'm not always gonna be here, so,
that's
it has to be
absolutely,
maintenance friendly.
that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
yeah, because the new mechanics these days come out of the truck with a laptop, they don't come out with a toolbox
I
anymore.
know. Someone's still gonna have to fix these.
yes.
Yeah,
Somewhere
right.
down the line.
Exactly.
So one other thing, that the budget that was put together initially, I don't believe included an owner's rep, however, we think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to have somebody in there. So in order to finalize the budget, STV had put together kind of like two budgets. One was for the whole entire start to finish report that Kohler Ronan came up with, which is a whole bunch of different phases, this only being, what we're looking at right now only being part of it. And then they had a separate budget for this part. And I think both went to the Office of School Construction, and that confused them, et cetera. So they've got it honed down. However, we're adding in an owner's rep, and it wasn't part, commissioning was always part, because you have to have it. So owner's rep in there will need to have the budget tweaked. However, if they're coming from the commission, if there are additions, deletions, et cetera, tweaks that we need to have Kohler Ronan do, that has to become part of a budget too, is we've already paid Kohler Ronan, the town has already paid Kohler Ronan Board of Ed. So we need to have those amounts, and then if the changes result in different budget amounts for the project, we have to take that into consideration too, which is why I'm trying to put some
Exactly.
timelines in place so that
Yep.
we're not waiting until
Yeah.
December 30th and saying,
Ready to
oh,
go.
what, we don't have all the information. So that's why we want to try to keep moving along.
No, I think it's good, because at least now there's some real funding there.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Yes.
now it sounds like we got a project.
Yeah.
2 weeks
Yep.
ago, not so much.
Right, right.
I can give you another quick update.
Sure.
We have 2 units that we're going to be replacing. One is called ERU2, Energy Recovery Unit number 2, Number two, a while back, I believe I brought you guys up to speed on, has a broken heat wheel. And this heat wheel has the size of these tables here. And that type of design, you don't repair it, you replace it. So the new unit had a long lead time when it was ordered last year, long lead time. So now it looks like we're going to be getting it, in and around the November timeframe. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
The second unit is AX1. AX1 that's the penthouse unit. We refer to it as the penthouse unit.
Mhm.
That does these center classrooms. Now, I just got the shipping date for them. It's coming in components. It's coming in a couple of different sections. One's coming from Florida, another one's coming from Pennsylvania by common carrier. Now, what I have to do is, because that part of the project's not out to bid yet, I have to have this sent to a rigger's yard and stored until that project's ready to go, so they can pick it one time, because I can't keep it outside because it's broken down. Now, the reason why it's coming in pieces is because they have to reassemble it inside the penthouse. And if it comes together and we take it apart to move it in, we just don't.
And you're responsible. Yeah,
Well, we
yeah,
void the warranty.
right.
So it's coming in components
That's a good
and then
idea.
reassembled
Good.
and then the warranty starts. So
Great.
that we got 10/26 and 10/6 are the arrival dates of this equipment. So
So
that's,
they're coming next month.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to install them, or are you going to have to wait
no, because
till-
that part of it is, there's no contractor yet, no installation yet.
No,
Jen's in the process of working with Sebi to get the bid out,
I got it, okay,
they pre-bought it, and then then there's bids going out.
okay.
So, and then we did that because we had to get that equipment coming because of the
Yeah.
supply chains.
Yeah, all
And
that,
then right behind it will be ERU number 2,
right,
which is
Same
another
thing.
crane pick.
got
And
it,
we'll repeat that process of having it to the crane yard.
right,
A lot of moving parts.
okay.
Yeah. Well,
All right, like I said, I'll send out an email and then we'll keep things moving
Yeah.
along.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And 9 and 13 that we put in
Yeah.
last year, working like a charm.
Good,
Knock on wood.
good, yay,
Eventually, we're gonna replace all these units.
yeah. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll
We will
get
there, yeah. All right, so we're ready to move into things that we need Evan for, so I'm gonna make a motion that we temporarily adjourn while I make a phone call.
Sounds good.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll be right back.
I'll do that, right? I'll give
Yeah, I
Jen a call.
just appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I know
So I will make a motion that we unadjourn and we come back into session.
Second.
John Mendy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, here we are. So I did call Evan, I got a voicemail and left a message, so we'll see if he gets in. Then Downs isn't here either. So I was on a meeting last week with, it was the initial coordination meeting for the training range project. We're gonna go there first, I can give you that. There was a meeting scheduled the week before, and most people didn't make it. So that was last Thursday, and he's rescheduled it for Monday, and so we all jumped on Monday and were able to be a part of that meeting. There was a lot of discussion about when things were gonna get delivered, et cetera. Lieutenant Durkin was on, because he's kind of the point person at the police department for making sure that there's space to deliver things, et cetera. So, Bob, I don't know, they were scheduled to deliver some stuff today, I remember from an email. Did anything get delivered today? Or yesterday?
No, so what's going on is Downs will be here Friday to open up the wall. And then Monday morning, the Action Target's going to be bringing their equipment.
Okay, good. So that coordination meeting.
Yeah, they tried to deliver. They tried to deliver the air handler unit after we told them no, and then it showed up. And then they must have figured it out. By the time I got in to talk to the guy, Evan made some phone calls, and then the truck left. I think what happened is they got turned around on what the actual address was that they were supposed to go to. They said something about Prospect, but then they had 12 Judd Avenue down, and there was some confusion with it. So long and short of it is it did not get delivered, and I believe we're still looking at October 6th on that, but I have to check with Evan to see. But we're ready to go. We have the cars removed that we need to remove, and the wall gets opened up Friday, and then Monday they bring the equipment.
Bob, did they get rid of that heating unit in there yet? Is that still there?
It's still there,
Still there?
the building maintenance needs to go look at it.
Yeah, it's still there, but there should be plenty of space for them to bring the equipment in. But
But my understanding is Downs is gonna take that out anyway, so
Yes.
even if
Okay.
they put it out on the sidewalk, the guys can come by and pick it up.
Yeah,
okay,
Beautiful, thank you.
yes.
Yep.
There was a lot of other discussion. So on the meeting was Downs, two guys from Downs. So Anthony plus I think the guy that's going to be the site person, Action Target. And as we were meeting, Action Target was also confirming some dates and times and making sure that stuff didn't show up when it wasn't supposed to. But obviously, was that the makeup air unit that showed up? Was it
yeah,
on a huge truck?
Yeah.
And because they're supposed to keep it in the yard somewhere until,
exactly.
and then that got kind of messed up. So some other things that if once Downs opens up that wall and the equipment gets delivered, there'll be other stuff that Downs can get going on. They had said at that meeting that all of their subs are ready to get going, so that's good. There was some questions that Evan was supposed to be figuring out about, like the pad for the makeup air unit, making sure everything was where it was supposed to be, as big as it's supposed to be, et cetera, which is why I was hoping he would be here to give us all that information, because between the time we met and today, there was a lot of information that had to be gotten from either subs or from Action Target or from Downs. Anything else? He was going to put together a schedule and a budget for us, which he said in an email to me. I have all that information, and I don't know where he is. So again, I hope he's okay. Is there anything else that you have, Bob, that?
No, that's it. Just that when the air handler unit comes, obviously the crane is coming that same day, so they can put the air handler unit over the building on the pad. So
Yeah, they're going to bring a crane in and pick it over the building.
Yeah.
There was talk about bringing it around through the impound, but they were thinking it was much smaller. Now it's big and
yeah, that won't happen.
it's got to go over the top.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to have to hold invoices and things until the next meeting. So if there's nothing, if anybody has any questions, or we can move back up to the school project, but if there's anything else that people have questions for Bob, and Bob, like I said, is being point person at the station. However, when Bob's not available, he's got a couple of backup people. Everybody knows that certain times they're supposed to park out front rather than against the building, et cetera, especially Friday when the work starts.
Yeah.
We don't want your cars getting all messed up.
Yeah, no, we'll move them up front. And
Yeah. Okay, so anything else that you have for us, Bob?
no, that's it.
Okay. Anybody here have anything they need to know about, or et cetera? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And on Rockwell and Johnson, nothing on the audit. So there's nothing new or nothing we haven't heard anything about when it's going to start, et cetera. For the whole level spreader stormwater management area, as I reported at the last meeting, we did do a quick check around that a few weeks ago. Evan was going to go up yesterday afternoon because we had some pretty heavy rains in the past couple of days, including this morning. I didn't have time to go up there. Evan was going to go up yesterday after school to check it out and didn't have a chance to do that. He's also been working on getting land use and SLR to come out and do a walkthrough. And that's been, and it was like end of August and people on vacations, et cetera, so he's still working on that. We do have, we had talked about this at the last meeting, how with the way the pipes were not fitting together and some of the washout that was occurring, we did have a great, Pete from Sunburst put together a great plan. They went ahead and did it. However, it was going to add to the amount. So we have a change order from them. However, I think we probably ought to get some input from Evan on that too. It's not a lot, but it's basically covering, they're supplying more stone. They basically, instead of just burying the pipe, it's set in stone up about almost 3/4. And then they buried that, and everything was buried last time when I was up there, grass was growing, etc. So it's basically labor and materials to bring that stone in, set it in place, and then finish everything up. Because as I said, I think I might have said at the last meeting, there were some areas they found were of that big 30-inch pipe that they put in place that had been crushed by the machinery. So they own that.
What was what's the amount of the change order?
What's that?
What's, you know, the amount of the change order?
Yeah, 4450, Evan had sent it out.
4450.
Yeah, it's, some 1,500 labor and 29 for material and delivery of the material. So, and when I was up there talking to one of the guys, he talked about getting into the manhole and walking through the pipe, or crawling through the pipe to check it for a certain period, making sure that that section was good, which it was. It was the downhill section where after it turned the corner that had to be replaced. But now it's all in stone. It seems to be working well. But again, I didn't go up there today or yesterday. I didn't have time. So we'll have to find that out and we'll deal with that at the next meeting. That's, I don't know if there's anything else. Yeah.
You say crawling through the pipe?
That's a good
Well,
space. That's a
it
little
wasn't-
illegal.
He didn't go far. It's 30 inches.
Yeah.
So he didn't go far, because he said, I wasn't gonna go far. I went like maybe 60 feet, so like, or not even. So there were 20-foot sections. He went maybe 2 sections, maybe 3. And then he said, I'm not gonna go any further. I don't need to. It looks good from the inside. I mean, they could have crawled a
You
camera
can
down
just
it
think
too,
of the
but-
things you should do if you're gonna do that, right?
Yeah, right.
Like somebody's at the other end with a rope and it's tied onto you.
Or I wanna make sure it doesn't collapse or any of that,
How
so,
about like confined space training?
yeah, yeah.
We already did it,
I
that
think he
ditch
just-
rescue,
I
right?
think he just got down there and looked in far enough, he had a flashlight and all, to make sure that there wasn't dirt coming in.
The little guy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a little guy, but he was not real big.
Okay, let's move on here.
It just struck me.
But he was making sure that he didn't see any dirt
Yeah, I could see
kind
it,
of
yeah,
inside,
yeah.
and he didn't, so then he came out.
That's over, right?
Yeah.
That task is over?
Yeah.
Good. Nobody's gonna sue us.
Yeah. Well,
Does-
You should,
all right, so, is there
You know,
anything
that-
else that anybody wants to know about, or?
My brain is already moving again. If he can climb in there, could a kid climb in there?
No, because it's a big, huge concrete manhole
Okay, okay.
with a big
Top off.
concrete cover on it.
Okay.
And it's in the, it's actually on the trail, but
I'm sorry, I haven't gone back there, so I can't.
Yeah, no,
visualize
it's got
it.
you should go, it's like this giant,
It's pretty significant.
bigger than that table back there
Yeah, it's like a
manhole.
5-foot.
Yeah, it's a big, giant concrete
The
structure
kids will find a way.
with a big, giant concrete top.
Okay, I just, I'm thinking of, well, if this guy can,
You know, it's-
All right, I think he did that when it was open, to
Which
look
is
in
closed
and make
up,
sure,
just-
yeah, now it's all closed up and sealed and
It's
everything,
done.
it's good,
Got
yes.
my brain,
And, stop the brain, all right,
So before we adjourn, you, be here next 2 weeks? I know you.
He's in
We
Maine,
will be in Maine on the 27th.
Okay.
so will
We
I,
tried
not at
to
his house.
connect via Zoom in June and it didn't work.
Okay,
We
yeah.
have a DSL line, and I'll try again.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, I can call and listen
you
on
need
the
him.
phone.
So if you have Horvath, you two,
Yeah.
and Perna. That's
So-
4. You need 4 for the municipal center. You need 5 for the other, so you need 5 for the police station and 5 for the school. So if you get Bob, and
The
you get Bob
27th?
Durkin,
The
27th,
Yeah, I'm here.
you should be good.
Give me your cell number.
No, you call the number that's on the email. To get on, you get on here by phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So you're part of the
do you
recording
get
line.
your, do you get your
I
emails?
send it to you every time.
All right, so if you get the email, you look at the
Yeah,
agenda.
he sends them much earlier than that.
Well, she had to last time because she was away.
Yeah.
This time she might
But
not
the
be
phone
away.
number's on the agenda.
Yeah, the phone,
We're leaving on Monday. So 27th is.
so look at this, the agenda, it's the same phone number, right,
It's
Cass?
the same phone number
So
for
then
every
look at
agenda.
This agenda, print it maybe and take it with you. And then you have that phone number. You call that phone number so you can be on Zoom rather than through John's cell phone, which would be a pain.
Okay.
So, yeah. Right? Yeah, sounds like a plan. But they can also let you know if they need you.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
Good night, all.
All right, John.
It's been real, it's been nice, but it hasn't been.